Hello everyone, it has been exactly 1 year since I started this channel, and it's already gone a lot further than I would have expected. So thank you everyone. To celebrate, let's answer some questions, shall we? But before that, I'm announcing my Patreon is now live, where you can support the channel financially. There are some neat perks like getting your username in the video, and any pledges are greatly appreciated. Now on to the questions. What is your favorite species of lizard? I like monitor lizards for their coolness factor and geckos for their extreme amounts of cuteness. What languages do you already know and which ones are you planning to learn? I speak English natively and I speak Spanish to a fluent level. For Mandarin Chinese, I consider myself to be an upper intermediate learner, but I hardly have practice speaking it. For Japanese, I was also upper intermediate, but I'm quite rusty with it now. And I'm lower intermediate in Korean and Vietnamese, and am similarly pretty rusty with those. I'm about A2 in Russian, Hindi, Indonesian, and maybe Nahuatl, Portuguese, and Dutch, and I've done a decent amount of dabbling in French, Italian, Swahili, Modern Standard Arabic, Farsi, German, Tagalog, Maori, Quechua, Turkish, Bengali, and Thai. Those are pretty much all the languages that I have enough time and interest to actually consider learning fully. And again, I'm only claiming to speak 2 of these languages, and only consider myself a serious and consistent learner of Mandarin at the moment, with me switching my efforts between a lot of the languages aforementioned when I get in the mood. I'm not a hyper-polyglot, at least not yet. I just have a problem is all. Do location reveal, parentheses, yum. I live in Texas. That's about all the information you're getting. What do you hate the most when doing videos? Depends on the video. If it's really long, then during audio editing, I start to get tired of my own voice and the words I'm saying, to the point where I still can't rewatch my 10 most spoken languages you've never heard of video without triggering my flight or fight response. Though for longer videos, every part of the video making process becomes more of a chore, and for shorter videos, pretty much every part feels more enjoyable. Although even shorter videos fall into the pitfall where I end up spending a whole hour on a single frame, which is never an enjoyable realization. Which morphology type is the coolest? Agglutinative is probably the quote-unquote coolest, but as for actual preference, I'm torn between that and analytical languages, which, hot take, are also very neat. How did you get into linguistics? I've been interested in human geography and getting to know other people's cultures for the longest time, and part of that involved having a mild interest in language for a while and thinking polyglots were cool. Then I actually got into language learning, watched like one Zidnaf video, and the rest is history. What's the deal with Danish? Danish sounds beautiful to some and weird to others. I'm others. But I mostly committed to Danish slander in the last video as a joke. If you're a Dane or a person who enjoys Danish, then more power to you. What's the best language learning methodology for you? I like to first get a good grasp of the phonology and orthography of the language. Being able to actually pronounce words is helpful. And then I get a gist of the grammar, at least to the point where I know what to put on my vocabulary flashcards for Anki. Like if a noun is masculine or feminine, if the word has an irregular form of the past tense, things like that. And then find some sort of course so that I can get a base foundation of knowledge in the language. And then after a certain point, go out and mine new vocabulary from books, short stories, social media posts, YouTube video subtitles, shows, games, the sky's the limit. Talking with natives and other people learning the language is also critical, but I have a tendency to neglect that. If you could vacation at any place at any point of time and stay there for a week, when and where would you go? Not wanting to cause any time travel shenanigans, I'd want to travel in the present. And as for my destination, Vietnam. I love more consistently warm climates, and there's some amazing natural sights to be seen, and it would give the chance to hear Vietnamese spoken in the wild, which is always a pleasure. What are your favorite languages that not a lot of people study or know? Quechua takes the cake in that regard. I absolutely love the phonoaesthetics of it, and I enjoy how a lot of grammatical information can be crammed into the word while still being relatively simple to understand, at least for me. I also really like the many varieties of Nahuatl. Maori is another fun one, and I see no one talking about the Chickasaw language despite it being very cool. Are there any other YouTube channels in particular that inspired you to start making videos? You're probably expecting me to say a channel with videos about language, like Zidnaf or Artifexian, but actually long before making this channel, I had, and still have, another channel called Stealthy Septile, where I have many videos with Pokemon plush. And with that channel, I was inspired by 2 other Pokemon plush channels. I'd say their names, but one of them I have a very messy history with and they no longer make plush videos, and the other one doesn't exist anymore. For the LingoLizard channel though, I mostly made it with the realization that my ideal job would definitely be related to linguistics, and doing YouTube videos about language would be a great way to do that without suffering through academia and struggling to get paid well. Anywho, I've included a link to my first channel in the description with a video explaining what I'm going to do with the channel in the future. And on a similar note, the name I prefer to be called is Stealthy. I also have a general subtile persona that I identify with very strongly, and being honest, this LingoLizard channel icon I've been using to portray myself is a placeholder, at least within the videos. I've been thinking of getting different emotes to use so you don't have to stare at this face forever, but I've been seriously considering instead using emotes of my subtile persona since that's my persona, and rebranding the lizard in the channel icon to be a similarly dark green colored subtile, since my persona can also change color. But I'm getting sidetracked. Please comment what you think about me using my actual persona in these videos, and for now, back to answering questions. Favorite pizza topping? Pizza emoji. Pepperoni, although I like to instead opt for cheese since its lack of meat is friendly to the environment and slightly less unhealthy. What interests do you have besides linguistics? I still find geography to be enjoyable, I love animals and learning all about them, and I am very much into gaming. I am a gamer lizard. Though it frustrates me to realize that I don't really have any interest besides that, since I'm so hyper-fixated on linguistics and on video games. What's your favorite conlang? While I respect the art of making naturalistic conlangs, I don't really gravitate towards any in particular. I tend to prefer artlangs and auxlangs, with my favorites being Tokipona and Lingua de Planeta. You've had such a high quality of videos from it seems day one. How do you find this style so fast? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'd been doing YouTube for 6 years, so I'm not exactly new to this thing. I know the essentials of video making. I know how a good video is supposed to turn out. Although I'd never done a linguistics video before, so it took a bit of experimentation and asking Amisli to figure things out. I considered whether I would make videos with black text in a white background, or white text in a black background. Then I came up with the idea to use white text, but use a Discord gray background, which worked very well. But later down the line, I wanted a more appealing color, and changed it to a better looking bluish gray. How many Pokemon plushies do you have? "102. How much time do you spend on each video? It depends on the video length. The Awesomies video took about 20 minutes of combined research and script writing, another 20 hours to make each individual frame, and about 10 to 15 hours to record, edit, and synchronize the audio, so between 50 and 60 hours in total. But the 10 most spoken languages you've never heard of video was a nightmare, with 20 to 30 hours on research alone, another 15 to 20 turning that information into a script, at least 50 to 60 hours to make every single visual, with another 20 hours for audio. So the time it takes to make videos varies, depending on how long the video is and how much research I need to do, but it usually takes quite a while, especially when you add schoolwork into the mix. What's your favorite language that has exactly 9 vowel phonemes? I really like the 9 vowel systems of Vietnamese, Lao, and Thai, but they all have length distinctions which I'm not a fan of, and they also don't meet the 9 phoneme criteria. And finding languages with exactly 9 vowels is harder than you may think. But my favorite with that amount would be Chickasaw. Again, criminally underrated language. Go read the Wikipedia page about it right now. And that's all the questions for today. If yours didn't make it in, worry not, because I'm planning on this being a yearly thing to celebrate the channel's creation date. But before I end things off, I have one more quick announcement.